Hello everybody, nice to have you here. Today I want to jump in a little bit on Adobe API Mesh and show you some use case I had recently, and I thought it's quite interesting to share. It will not take long. We talked before about the REST API and GraphQL. Let's have a look on the JSON schema today. And I will share one interesting use case I had, so I need to debug myself before I was ready to show it to you. So imagine you don't have really the API. You have some controller, some URL which deliver you the plain JSON. No swagger around, so when you just want to work with this JSON structure as it is. So in my example, let me show you. So that's, for example, the JSON I receive if I'll call the URL, which contains just 3 fields. The logic behind can be different. It can be, PHP script, JavaScript, whatever, which render you the JSON, depends on your parameter. Also, you can have some filter options and so on. But today we're talking about, let's say I have such structure and I want to use it in my mesh because I need this data there. So one of the options is to add the new source or the handler. And the handler in this case called query, type query, and you define in the schema. The schema you need to define because GraphQL Mesh have to know how to build or which parameter he sees. And the schema looks like following. So in my case, it's just a standard JSON schema. You can generate it. I guess you can also even ask ChatGPT to generate it based on your JSON. And I have here 3 fields. It's locale, country, and a path. So in my case, I have the file depends on which locale I'm in. This looks pretty simple. So if we'll configure it like following, we have URL, we have query dataset, path, root, method get, and response schema have to be defined, and it have to be in part of your project together because when you will deploy mesh, it will try to read it. And if we will technically just will make your API mesh create and then your mesh file, you will see the URL. And let's have a look on it. I guess I even have it already opened. Yes. So I have it opened. That's the URL which is now generated by mesh on edge. By the way, don't be surprised. Before it's created you 2 endpoints. One was the legacy mesh, another one the edge. Now it's not so anymore. It's only 1 point you will receive. The old one is not working anymore. So be aware. And then, our schema looks like following. Let me show you the file so you know how it looks like. We have those properties, locale, country, path. And then, we have the field, which is data list. That's why I'm calling here the data list as a field. And then I have locale, country, path. And if I will call it, I'll get my schema back. So I can do whatever I want for sure, just to show you that it works. So now coming to the use case I have. The use case I have was that we need to render this list on the front end so a user can choose his language and then download the file. Looks quite simple. And we thought about, we need to add a label because for user want to have user-friendly label. He don't want to see DE. Even if I have country here, it's still just upper letters, but the same code. So I want to have really the text which tells me German, French, Italian. One of the options for sure when you render it, just render it on the front end and add nice translations on your front end. But we're not looking at the easy ways. That's one point. Second one, the JavaScript call by front end all the time. So the JavaScript will first deliver you this result, then you need to map the results and to render the JSON. I thought much easier will be just to change your mesh to deliver you all correct information directly. You can also localize it technically. If let's say you will use Adobe Commerce API with the store headers, you can inject the schema inside and then localize depends on which store is in a header. But let's now focus on the simple example. And the simple example is to just add the label here. So to add a label, we need to modify our mesh a bit, and we need to add the resolver. I will not type everything from the scratch. I have it prepared. It's called here. The first part didn't really change. Now you need to add a new type. In our case, it's a label, and we need to tell type of it. So basically, when the schema will be rendered, it's know that there is such field as a label. If you will miss this one, schema will not know this field particular. Then we have our resolvers. What about resolvers? How to use them? I have a video. Feel free to watch it. But I will repeat myself. It's technically the mechanism how you can align your output. So you can influence the data you're receiving. You can manipulate with them and then change them. And that's the resolver content. I have it precompiled somewhere. Yes, here. Just that you see how it looks like. We have like a labels, which is country to label. And then we tell it, okay, please select locale. That's a standard attribute because we need locale for this one. And then we just technically match it. So we just find if we have locale available, the translation for locale available, then we return locale for this selection, for the label. So label is our new attribute. So as you can see, we have this query, label, and so on. Now, interesting part also, you see this value here, query, data list, items. If you go to your mesh, you will not see it anywhere except this extend type I created. So you don't have it here. How I get it, I just loaded the schema which returned for the GraphQL. And if you'll check it here, we have our data list, that's our first level. But it's just the name of it, and you need the type, and then you need the name. So if you add data list there, it will not work. Where? Here is it. You need the name. And then after you've done it, you can just update mesh. And then let's just update it. Okay, it may take some time. API mesh status. I would say that the edge provisioning now taking longer time than before the legacy one, just because it's an edge, so it's distributed through different CDNs and it requires some time to provision and to cache everything. So we are done. Let's have a look what we've got. API still works, which is nice. Let's check if we have a label now. Yes, we have a label on output, and here you are. And that's honestly much faster also by performance than load the schema first and then made a mapping on every time then the customer called the frontend. And that's a very simple example. So it just shown how it's possible to be done. As I said, if you will, I don't have an example, but if you will merge it with another handler, let's say Adobe Commerce GraphQL, we'll add this query inside of the standard response. We'll use the header you're receiving. You can also localize it. If you want to have it, that's maybe not the best place when you want to maintain it. So it means technically, if you have API available, you can fetch it here inside or before. If you have it as a file, you can host it somewhere and then read it. So that's just an example how it's have to be done, but the source of those translations you can pull from anywhere technically. And then just use it. You can store it also on the separate file if you want to, if it's more comfortable. And that's it. So quite easy. I record this demo much faster than I researched on how to do it. There's still in documentation to cover different use cases, so I need to try it myself, play around and so on. But it's much easier than it could be. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to know anything else or have some other use cases, let me know. I will be happy to support you. And please don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. If you not, please leave your comment. I will try to improve it if it's possible. It's always possible. and have a nice rest of the day. Bye bye.